What is up, everybody? It is Monday night. Time for some Horns Forward podcast. Let's you notice we're down one. Our illustrious sister is actually unavailable right now. She's taking care of some family business. So uh thankfully, safe travels to where she was going, but thoughts and prayers with her. She takes care of what she needs to and then gets back to us. So, but in the meantime, let's go around the horn. Let's do our introductions. Take it away, somebody.
I'm the guy everyone copies. As you can see, Tim in the comments already going to copy me because he can't come up with his own ideas. Just like the Renegades always need me for them.
DJ.
What's up? I am BD, and you know what? I'm gonna need like 10 of these probably tonight. Talking about the game.
Yeah.
And of course, you guys know me, SAJ. Horse, salud, cheers.
Salud. Tamarindo.
Let's go.
Let me start by saying I really appreciate everyone for coming out. The experience was great. This was my first road game. And it was good having the people around that was around. Also, shout out to Marlon and Joanna for the ride. It was great carpooling with them dudes and girls. Well, girl. But it was fun, and definitely what we didn't expect the ending to look like, but I'm sure we'll dive into it.
I'm just gonna say it. The team looked like trash. It was garbage. It was absolute garbage. I'm just gonna say it. I ain't gonna sugarcoat it. The team was garbage this past week.
We'll get into it.
I mean, I get what you're saying. I don't know that I'd 100% say that we were garbage per se. I know it did not turn out the way we wanted it to. The stats definitely don't lie. We know that. But there's definitely some work to do, right? And I think we should probably start out again. Thanks to the Renegades fans for being so gracious. Thank you for opening up your stadium to us like you always do, and receiving us with open arms and ice cold beer and delicious food. I do wish that your team would have cooperated and lost like they were supposed to, but overall, I don't think the score was as reflective as what the stats are saying. But let's talk about that. Let's talk about some of the differences that we saw. Like, obviously, we're up in the stands. We're watching what's going on. What are some of the things that you saw that San Antonio did not do well this week?
Wait.
That we were kind of expecting.
First, I want to say this though. Also, I know we're about to dive into the game though. I want everybody to keep in mind, right? This is our third season, going into our third season. Well, the beginning of our third season. Let's not forget where we came from. Okay? Let's not forget where we came from. We did start the first season 3-7. We got better. We gotten better. Next season, we went to the championship game. We're starting off slow now. I'm gonna give us the benefit of the doubt. And I have been contemplating on whether or not I was going to talk about this or not, or I was just going to start at this, be level-headed. And I was just like, okay, forget it. I'll do it because I think we got to give some grace, right? I really want to shit on them like y'all, how everybody probably want to feel like it. But I feel like we can't really do that right now. Now, that was a game where I feel like that we underestimated Arlington. They was a pass happy team last year. And they was a very non-existent. They had a non-existent run game last year, right? And I think we underestimated them. They came out and showed exactly who they were. I'm not surprised, but I'm not surprised from Arlington's side. I am surprised on how we perform. So now going into this weekend, and like I said, I'm just jumping ahead a little bit, but I'm going back. Going into this weekend, if I see the same, then I will have a problem. I think it's time to sound the alarm. But I'm giving us the benefit of the doubt. If we look the same, then we got problems. But if we get better, got it. We on the track. We on the right track. But let's not forget, we know how it feels to be trash, like trash. So let's give them more time. Give them a whole another week to get things together. Watch tape on St. Louis, see their weaknesses, see their strengths. Hopefully, our offense look a little different. Hopefully, our defense play like our defense are. Our whole identity didn't look like our identity. The culture didn't look like the culture. Now, I don't want to touch on why Wade and AJ wasn't in the box, was in the box and wasn't on the field. But I think me from an aspiring coach's standpoint, like I feel like me personally, like I would want to be with my team, right? Now, we also, like I said, I don't know what's going on with them, but I would want to be with my team. That's just for my opinion.
So
just all last year too on the field. So
just to touch
something different
on coaches in the boxes and stuff like that. I've always felt that offensive coaches, I think, are better on the sidelines. Defensive
Correct.
coaches, defensive coordinators, you're better up in the box because you can kind of see the layout of the field. And offensive, I know AJ Smith has always been in the box. I've never really liked it. I like him on the field with the players. You can kind of collaborate a little bit with the guys on the sidelines, draw up some plays, stuff like that. I think it works better for an offensive perspective. But
he was on the field last year though.
Last year he was on the field a lot.
Yeah.
Was he? I thought he was in the box last year.
No, that was the defensive coordinator was in the box.
Okay. But Mond was very rusty. He looked like someone who hadn't played a game in 3 years. And there's a reason for that, because he hasn't played a game in 3 years.
Exactly.
The offensive line had some struggles. And I know we've talked about that. Coach Dre leaving, what's the line going to look like? I wasn't impressed. There's too many times Arlington got into the backfield quick. Mond was under pressure as soon as he got the ball. The ball got tipped, stuff like that. A lot of just issues with the offensive line didn't look good. I was most surprised at the defense. That was the core that we had coming back. Give the offense time to kind of get in its groove and get flowing. I fully expected the defense to kind of hold the fort down. And for whatever reason, they didn't do that this game. They couldn't stop the run, couldn't stop little short passes out to the flat. They couldn't tackle worth a damn. So the short passes out to the flat ended up becoming 15-yard, passes. That is where our biggest struggle was this week. Again, Mon, offense, all that stuff. Okay, it'll work itself out. That defense needs to come together. We cannot have a game like that again.
So the pressures were there. The pressures were there. We just didn't get any sacks.
Right. And I want to jump in on something that BD said. Looking at Mon's stats, because, I'm a stats guy. I like numbers because numbers tell tales and numbers don't lie.
Talk to us.
We cannot discredit Mond for one game, all right? His last professional game as a football player was in 2020. His college career, now I understand this is college and it's not NFL, it's not UFL. Stats are going to be a little bit different, right? Because the game's a little bit different. But, pardon me, he played 46 games, went 801 for 1358 on completions, 59% average. Not the worst, but still not bad, right? Averaged 7.1 yards with 71 touchdowns and only 27 interceptions. Those numbers are not bad at all. If he were still continuously playing, he would probably be holding about that same average, maybe a little bit better, right? Well, let's give him credit. Let's say maybe he's in the 61, 62% range. He signed with Minnesota in 2021, okay? Played like 1 or 2 games, got waived by Minnesota, went to the Browns. He was waived not even like it was waived a year later, was only on the practice squad, never actually saw any real action. Then he went to the Colts, the Saints, and now to the Brahmas, both of which he was let go within a month, right, with the Colts and the Saints. So for 3 years, I'm sorry, take it back. For about 5 years, really, he's been sitting around waiting for his opportunity to play. And 4 weeks of training camp, that's not going to be enough for a guy who's supposed to be, the starting quarterback. So obviously he showed something in training camp that just didn't quite translate out into the game on Saturday. Whether it was the game plan, maybe it was the pressure, maybe he had the yips. I know Jorge has talked about that before with some players. It's got to be something that's fixable, right? So let's give him a chance until this next game and see what he can actually do. If he does it again, right? Hogan, 2 weeks to grow that mustache back, as you guys seem to love so much, right? He better have that mustache and that mustache power because he's going to get the, he should get the start. That's all I'm saying.
And
Go ahead, Jorge.
Bramovic's question here, Hogan should have gotten some time to leave Mond in. You know what? I say if Mond's your number one QB, you got to leave him in the whole game. Let him build some rhythm with the receivers, even if the game is, 35 to 3, whatever it was.
I agree.
You've got to keep him in there to build that rhythm to get those game time reps. The only way you're going to knock off game time rust is to get in the game. So
go ahead, Jorge.
Let's see. Can I?
Go ahead, because I got notes, so I'm just letting you go ahead.
Okay, we'll let you this time.
All right. So offensive side of the ball. The offensive line, it did look weak. The blocking schemes weren't there. This is also going to back on coaching as a whole. I don't know that the offense is built around the strengths of Kellen Mond, which are more of his agility and his legs versus his ability to pass. We saw a lot of passes that were thrown behind the receivers. We saw a lot of just inaccurate passes. But when you saw him take off, when you saw him scramble out of the pocket, we got some pretty solid gains from there. I don't think we used Lovett and McFarland nearly enough as we should have. And when we
I don't think we used them the right way.
We got touchdowns.
Right. One thing though, real quick, did anybody notice any deep challenges on Arlington's team?
No, you're watching the replay. I think I remember seeing maybe one 20-yard pass.
No, and that's the thing is the receivers also weren't running. They didn't
look like separation.
They didn't look like they were running at 100%. Arlington was playing tight on the defense.
They did good.
They locked down the receivers. They to the point where they were a non-factor the entire game. On the defensive side of the ball, I'll be honest, on both sides of the ball, on the lines, Arlington overpowered and outmatched our lines, both offensive and defensive lines.
Right.
They also had a stronger running game, obviously, than was said earlier than last year. And not having any film to go off of, like you just kind of take what you get and just kind of analyze players from what you see in practices. Now, I've seen so many people say, it's 2023 Brahmas again. It's the Heinz Ward Brahmas. No, not even close.
It's not, but we know what that feels like, though.
We know what that feels like, but like on the defensive side of the ball, fundamentals, tackling was terrible.
Exactly.
Now this is outside of any of the teams here, but last year this was a common complaint throughout the entirety of the season. First 3 weeks of the season, it gave the referee some grace. This is year 2, week 1. The grace period is well over. The rules are established. They're a little different than NFL and college. I get that. But the rules, this is the second year of the league. Both sides of the ball, I didn't like the officiating either. There was a lot of late hits that weren't counted. There was touchdowns that should not have been touchdowns. They were short. There was a lot of holdings that were not called. And again, this isn't for the Brahmas or for the Renegades. This is in general. It just was not a good game by the officials either. So I think that's still a problem that I'd like to see improved upon, because I know these guys also want to make it to the league. I want to see better officiating. And like I said, the grace period is over. You had a whole year already. So what's going on there?
I'd love to be able to have some kind of excuse for that, but I mean, you're not wrong. If these folks are working to move up to the big show, right? Whether it's players, whether it's coaches, whether it's the officiating staff, the line judges, all of that stuff, we've got to do better across the board, right? Tim here is saying that he drew 2 false starts that didn't get called. I don't know if that's actually true, but I get where he's going with the comment that there were things that were missed across the board. And that, I mean, how are you going to have a professional league when the fans are seeing blatant fouls and everybody's just like, whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
How are you preparing these guys for the NFL when you're not calling the technical stuff that needs to be called, right? So Jorge has a great point there.
And I mean, Rick brings up a point here, moving early every play for the left tackle. We see that in the freaking NFL every week too. It's just, It seems like that quick little jump is just something that's just not being called anymore. And it should be, because, it absolutely is a false start. And it, for whatever reason, we're not seeing that called across the board. So I don't like that, but I think they need to start calling that.
Let me you got another one? I was gonna go through my notes. You can go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, by the end of the game, and I know I have a strange fascination and obsession with Sal Canelo. I get it. Go ahead, say what you want to say. But the man, clearly I was watching that player for the entirety of the game.
He was
by the third quarter, I could telegraph all the plays they were going to run. And I've already explained it in the chat. So I hope they watch the film, they see this. If he's on the line of the scrimmage lined up with the tackles, next to the tackle, it's going to be a run up the middle with him blocking. If he's lined up off the line of scrimmage, taps the tackle's leg, it's going to be a zone block away from him. They're going to run towards him. If he doesn't tap on the leg, he's going to go out for a pass. If it's a short yardage situation and he lines up in a slot receiver position, he's their primary target. He's their short yardage guy. He's going to get the ball. He's going to be the one that Bettis is looking for. But now that they have a run game, now you have to be cognizant of the run and cognizant of his ability to catch in the slot. So that made it that much more difficult. But just seeing how he lined up, knowing the positioning of the first down marker, and knowing the little ticks, the little giveaways, noticing that and being able to call it out and being able to say, oh, zone left, zone left, zone left, and knowing that the line's going to the left and the ball's coming to the right, if you're looking at it from a defensive perspective, but then not adjusting for that. I mean, I hope that they catch that in the film and go over that this week in practice, because this week in practice is going to be a short week. They're going to have 3 days to practice. So
right. But let me ask you this: who is that on then?
On the coaching staff and on the players on the field, because at that point, the coaching staff should be recognizing that from the box. Yes,
but that's a DC not seeing that.
But at the same time, like the linebackers, who are the ones right behind the line that can see this, who are the captains of the defense, should also be seeing this and calling it out. It should be a collaborative effort there between the DC and the players on the field themselves, because sometimes the DC is not going to catch it all because the players on the field will have a much different perspective.
They see the whole So who was out? Who was out? Mike. Jay Will was out. Mike, right?
You right?
Yes. Yep, he was.
Okay. So then, I mean, I saw him flying around though. I feel like that he had the most heart on our defense, honestly. Like he was flying around. But let me go through my notes, guys. So I think I'm gonna do this every game. I'm gonna just because watching the game in person is totally different than watching it back. Like you see a lot of different stuff, right? So we could go through each point. I have a few, and we can touch on that as well as we go through. Right. So my first one is both teams played sloppy, a lot of holdings. So you did mention a lot of missed calls, but there was some calls that was obvious and blatant, and they did see some, and they called some holdings on both teams. Face masks.
Mhm.
Let's talk about those two key face masks that we had in the red zone that backed us out of the red zone.
One took away a touchdown.
Let's talk
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wait.
and
It
wasn't a necessary face mask.
Let
You know,
him cook. Let him cook.
Offsides on both teams. So this is for both teams, right? Offsides on both teams, and delay of games. So go ahead, Brian. That's one note. But go ahead. What you about to say?
no, I just said the face mask, and that goes back to kind of the line play. It was at that point, it was an unnecessary face mask. The one that took the touchdown away, he didn't have to do it. It just he got sloppy, he got undisciplined, and reached up and grabbed the face mask, took a touchdown off the board, which would have completely changed the game.
Shooting ourselves in the foot.
Yep.
Mhm.
And that's what we did all game. We make a play, and then we have a stupid penalty, holding penalty that moves us back, or we march
Delay
down
game.
the field. Something happens. We have drop passes by a receiver. We have a sack.
We'll get to that.
There's something. We would move the ball and then do something stupid and get pushed back, kill the drive.
So one of my other notes was, I know Brahma Bay mentioned it earlier. She said no pressures, but we did get pressures. We had Luis off his spot a lot of times, but we didn't get any sacks. That's key. Can't really win on defense if you don't get no sacks. You got to get to the
Back to the
quarterback.
fundamentals of tackling.
You got to get to the quarterback, man. And I was watching it and I'm like, okay, I want to put this in my note. Like I know we're gonna get a sack. I know we're gonna get, because like I said, there's a lot of stuff I didn't see, but I want to watch back. I'm like, okay, I know we're gonna get a sack. Nope, the whole game we ain't getting that one sack. I was like, come on, dog. Like we got to get to the quarterback. So my next note was, I said lazy wide receiving play. We saw this earlier. No separation. And we helped the quarterback out by letting him scramble. He got all over the field. Got out the pocket, went crazy. Any tips on that? Any insight on that? What y'all think
As
about
far
that?
as Mon getting out of the pocket?
No,
Or you
we
mean
helped
Perez?
Perez.
Oh yeah, I mean, let him get out of the pocket. He can move around. I mean, I know he's a little on the older side, but he can still move around.
He did move around for sure. I put Renegade's offensive line was elite. Kalen Ballage was going crazy.
He was.
It's also Balaj, right? It's unfortunate that we didn't keep him on the squad, but we knew what we were giving up when he walked. We knew he could be a dangerous weapon. So with the right offensive line, the guy's going to try and show out, right? He's got something to prove. So he's going to be, running his heart out, especially against the team that he played against. I mean, I'm sure there's, probably no love lost going up against the Brahmas, who you played for the previous year. So I'm sure there was a little bit of
2 years
extra
ago.
motivation there for him to, or 2 years ago, I'm sorry, for him to ball out and show up. But hey, you walk on this, and I'm gonna walk all over you. That's how I would do it. But
So look.
back to I was just gonna say back to Perez, right? I know a lot of us, me included, had kind of pretty much already given up on Perez because of the bad year that he had last year. But there's a reason why he's, the king of spring football. The guy has skills. He can move. He can throw. He can move on. He can throw on the run. I mean, the guy's dangerous. And I'm almost wondering if we didn't, if we rested a little too much. Pardon me. If we rest a little too much on his stats from last year, expecting him to do that same thing this year, and maybe we played our defense a little bit more conservatively than what we should have.
Well,
But-
his stats last year, he led the league in passing and touchdowns.
That's the
Yeah.
thing is
Really?
last
His-
year
No, he did not.
He was going
His
crazy.
team
Yeah,
was not good.
The-
He was phenomenal.
yeah.
So-
He was cooking.
Arlington was able to finish what they couldn't last year. Last year they had the stats, they had everything. They were league leaders
have
in
a
a
run
lot of
game.
categories.
They didn't have a
But
run
they just couldn't punch it in. That is the thing last year. This year they punched it in plenty of times because they
So
actually have a
far.
run game now.
So far. So this is something that I saw, right? Y'all know Devin Smith, right? Davion Smith, right? They're running back number
And we
9.
did.
Y'all know this man had 3 carries for 3 yards and 3 touchdowns. Do you know how he got those 3 touchdowns? In that freaking T formation that they kept
Yep.
running to the same freaking side, and I kept calling it out.
Ran it to the left
Same
side
side,
every
put the
damn
backup
time.
quarterback in, ran to the same side. Nobody stopped it.
Hang on, real quick. I need to call. Bring you guys to this question real quick. How'd you guys like Choctaw this time around? Arlington
was
is getting
trash.
nicer and nicer.
That shit was raining. It was raining in the stadium, and it wasn't even raining.
Yeah. Javier, I don't know if we had a chance to meet or not, but I got to tell you, the section that we were at, which is basically the outfield, it was raining from the roof. And I understand it's probably a drainage problem or whatever, but it literally was raining on our fans the whole entire game, right? So I appreciate you asking about that, but I got to be honest, maybe some Flex Seal tape or something, maybe a little bit of insulating foam. Like, let's patch up some of those holes, man, because that was crazy.
Not only the rain when there was no rain, but my God, can y'all fix the PA system in that place? You couldn't hear a damn
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
the ref
nothing.
said. You couldn't hear the PA announcer.
Bathroom.
You
Let's talk
couldn't
about the
hear
bathroom.
anything. They had where we were in the outfield, they had the one big screen is above our heads, but they have another one that's kind of on to
Off
the
to the
side.
side, sun on it. You
And
can't see.
The screen kept going out, and it was just ridiculous. And yeah, put some
Oh,
damn
the-
speakers under the
bathroom.
canopy where we were at, because ref's talking, you can't hear a thing he says. The PA announcer, I heard him mumble one time the entire game. It was ridiculous.
The bathroom
Absolutely
they
stupid setup.
had black trash bags over all the stalls except for 2,
All
and it's a
brown and
long
nasty.
line. Like it just looked disgusting.
No, and this is for both us and our bandito friends. I also did not appreciate the police coming to harass us for no reason. I was told afterwards, because they came over to me first towards where I was standing. I looked over and I said, "What do y'all need?" Then they went back up and they went over to the banditos and they started telling them stuff. And it was later told why they went over there. I also didn't appreciate why they came down in the first place. But I'll just say this. Don't tell me how to parent my child.
There you go.
Arlington Police Department.
There you go. And back to my notes.
Go ahead. Keep cooking, my man.
So this is what Jorge mentioned a little earlier. He talked about the zone, right? He talked about Sal killing us, right? And a lot of those catches was in the zone. Me and Mike G was sitting beside each other, and he kept asking, like, "Are they in zone?" I was like, "Why are y'all still in zone?" And they 10 y'all zone up, man. Y'all in 4-2-5, and they killing the freaking zone. I probably only saw maybe 2 or 3 formations on defense where they actually sent somebody on the edge and tried to get pressure on the quarterback, but Arlington offensive line was just that good. I just picked it up. They have a better offensive line than they had last year. They kept saying on the announcement, I could see it. Like the guys are picking it up, they're communicating, they doing everything they're supposed to do. And if they get to the quarterback, almost get to the quarterback, Perez is taking off. And I'm so mad that I didn't see more of Mon running. I don't know why, bro.
When Perez broke whatever that was, that 15-yard run for the first down,
Man.
I was so pissed. How are you going to let his old ass run 15 yards for a first down on a 3rd and 12 or whatever it was?
Well, he's got that the only way I can describe it is that elusive Aaron Rodgers-esque style of
Shifty,
run
little
where
shifty.
he's got that age on him, but once he gets moving, I didn't know he could still do that. And I'll be honest, in this league of all the quarterbacks, I would say Bettis is the only field general at the moment.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that.
So I could see the team rallying around him from him doing stuff like that and taking control and taking command over the other players as a good quarterback should.
Yeah. Okay. So I got two main ones. The other ones we already pretty much talked about. We talked about the no sacks, the quarterback runs. So I think our offensive line played good in pass, right? Because I know y'all said that they wasn't really. If you watch the game back, Mon had, and I was counting too at the game too. Mon had time to throw. Now, it was all based on how he did what he did, like with the overthrows, underthrows, off time passes, like that was on him. And we had wide receiver drops as well, so we can add that too. But Mon had at least 3 to 4 seconds. If y'all watch the game back, Mon had at least 3 to 4 seconds to pass. The
3
pass
seconds is all you
protection,
need.
the pass protection was okay. The run protection was that was bad. That was bad. Like I know you mentioned it earlier. I don't know. Well, you was talking about Arlington side, but outside, the inside zone runs was not working. Arlington
Mhm.
And they
defensive line
kept
was killing
trying
that.
it.
They kept trying the inside zone runs. The outside zone runs, I was like,
Thank you.
why are they not doing that? They had one good one with Jashawn Corbin. He ran that one and he got some good yards. Then I noticed in the second half they started doing screens because the Arlington defensive line was cooking. That's all we had because we couldn't go down the field. I just don't know why he was off target so bad. Like it was so bad. And then my last note, so y'all can go. This is just my personal opinion. I think that McFarland should start, and I think that Jashawn and him should split reps first and second down, and I think Lovett should be the third down back. That's just my opinion.
More of a bruiser type.
He's more of a bruiser type back.
I
McFarland
don't-
and Jashawn are like quick, shifty backs. They elusive. They can
Mhm.
catch out the backfield, and they got. If you watch the game, they got the dirty yards. Like McFarland was getting a lot of yards. I think he had one good series, and then they took him out. And I'm beside Mike G, and I'm like, bro, why they take McFarland out the game? Like he had a
That
great
was the
series.
series he had. It was because I just watched the game back
He had
this
a great
evening.
series.
He had 3 rushes for 32 yards
And they
in
took
that
him
one
out.
series, and they took him out.
So that's just my opinion. I thought that I think going forward we should have McFarland. McFarland should definitely be starting. I don't know why I do like the fact that he does get the kickoffs. But I think Speedy should be back there and have McFarland reserved for running back. That's what I think. Because Speedy's pretty good. He's a good kick returner. Keep him and John Trey, or you could have put Justin Smith back there. He wasn't even in a game like that, man. I don't know why. Or Greg Ward. Greg Ward could punt return too,
Yeah,
or kick return too. So
and we got a
And
lot of
then-
options.
we got out.
He's got the experience, so I'm just. And we can sit here and we can dissect it all day long and say, this should have happened, that should have happened, whatever. I guess I would say my biggest problem with all this is us as fans sitting here dissecting it. Where was our coaching staff doing this during the game? And I'm not even talking about sideline versus up in the booth, whatever. How is it that we're seeing things like Jorge pointed out the tells that Sal was doing the whole entire game, making those line shifts when you're in defense, knowing the things that are going on. Where was that competitive edge this game? And that goes back to the coaches and it goes back to the players, right? I don't know. I mean, I wish I had some kind of excuse, some kind of story, some kind of something, right? All I can say is, maybe we went in a little too confident. Maybe we went in a little too cocky. I don't know that that's actually the case, but I'd like to think maybe that is. And, maybe this was the game that was kind of the punch in the mouth to kind of wake us up. And so we'll be ready for St. Louis. At least that's what I'm hoping for. But I mean, you guys tell me,
Well,
We got
I think I I got my weeks mixed up because I keep on confusing the Friday St. Louis game versus the Sunday St. Louis game. I know this is a Sunday one,
Yeah.
and we were very fortunate to have played on Saturday because they don't have to travel, right? Or this past, after the Arlington game, they don't have to travel.
Yeah.
They go back to their hotel rooms. They got Sunday off, right? So they can watch the other teams play. It's practice Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, light practice Friday, Saturday, travel, and then game day Sunday. So they have an ample amount of time because if you look at what, let's say, a team like Birmingham is about to go through, they're going to get put through the gauntlet this week. They only have 2 days of full practice because they played on Sunday, right? They got back to Arlington from DC around midnight on Sunday. They were off today. They practice tomorrow. They practice Wednesday. They travel Thursday to play on Friday. So they only have 2 days to practice. And that's going to be what our weeks look like when we have the Friday game. So it's going to be our turn at some point. Birmingham's about to get put through the gauntlet. And like, this is something where, okay, right now we have the time and the schedule in our favor. Granted, yes, from a fan's perspective, it sucks because we have to wait a whole another month to be able to watch them in the Alamo Dome. I know we're all super excited for that. But right now, from a scheduling and practice perspective, it is in our favor because the other teams are going to be exhausted.
Facts.
Yeah.
You want to
I think.
go ahead?
Well, I was going to say, I think it's going to help us having that little extra time to, maybe sit down with the team and go over, some of the game footage and try and reset the locker room mentality. I'm sure, the dogs, if you will, like DJ referred to from last week's show, that are really out there wanting to compete and wanting to put everything out there to either get that opportunity to move up to the next level or to even just be able to say to themselves, I did everything I could. I think maybe this is that opportunity for them to kind of get on the other guys that maybe weren't pulling their weight so much and say, look, man, this is serious, right? This is a job. You're here to work. If you're not going to work, get the hell off my squad, right? Because there's about 25 more guys standing outside waiting for this opportunity. So,
Delonte Scott.
I want before we get out, I do want to say I saw a comment earlier in the chat, and I've seen posts like this. Oh God, it's going to be a long season. Oh God, we suck. Oh, just stop with the overreacting. All right, it's one game. First game of a new quarterback, a new kind of feel in the backfield. It's gonna come together. Don't like throw yourself off the boat immediately. Don't be all like down and negative. And I'm tired of seeing that crap.
Don't be like the teams behind BD, because I understand you're tired of seeing that crap. We saw that all year already.
I did. So I'm tired of seeing negativity of, oh well, we lost one game so we suck. Just let's get on. Move on. This game's over. Move on to next week.
Yeah.
Hey, before we get into rankings, right? Because you're going to rankings next, right?
Yeah.
Okay, before we get into rankings, I got a question. I got a serious question for y'all, and I want y'all to answer it like with.
So my three favorite restaurants are.
Of course, it'd be about food.
No, it's not. Straight honesty, right? Because I want to know. Like, I want to know if I'm not tripping. Do y'all think that Kellen Mond is downplaying the UFL?
Is downplaying it?
Like, as if he's too good for the UFL. I know he's in it, but I'm like, did he downplay the talent in the UFL?
I don't think so. Are you mean like, I guess what his comment of, oh well, I've played in the
no comments, just in general, like from from what you've seen and how he played, do you think like maybe he thought the UFL wasn't going to be how it is?
I don't get that. I don't get that at all.
Okay.
Nothing I saw would lead me to think that. So
Okay.
Jay, you wanna go?
I was just going to say, I would think that, with him signing with the UFL, realizing how many other individuals were fighting for a spot
That's what I
that
was
he
about to say.
has even played with, right? And they're not getting the opportunity, and these other guys are because they're just that much better. I wouldn't think that he would look at the talent pool in the UFL and think, "Oh, I'm superior to these guys." If he does, I mean that's a douchey move. And
yeah,
I mean he was an Aggie, but I just don't see him as being like that personally. Yeah, that was a little love tap towards you, BD. Hook 'em horns, baby. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyways, I don't think that Kellen Mond is the type of person to, maybe he might have a little bit of an ego. I don't know. I don't know the cat personally, so I can't make that judgment call one way or another. Um, I don't think he walked into this. I'm going to disagree with UFL Isaac's comment.
I am
I
too.
don't know that he thought he was going to walk in and be the MVP. He might have walked in thinking that he was going to be pretty hot, and then got humbled. And we'll see what happens on Sunday. But I don't think he walked in, thinking he was far superior to everybody that was there. Half the guys that are there had the same NFL opportunities that he did, and they didn't make it either. And so now they're fighting, for an opportunity to get back into the NFL. So I would think that would play into a lot of his opinion about it. But again, I mean, that's just my opinion on the situation. I don't know the guy. I hadn't talked to the guy, so I really don't know. Yeah.
Go ahead, or
So I don't think. Well, I guess the only way I can put it is he got punched in the mouth. He got hit with a haymaker, and he wasn't expecting it.
Okay.
And I don't think it was just him though. I think it was a lot of players because obviously you compare this year's UFL player pool to, let's say, XFL 2023, UFL last year even. There is substantially more NFL talent and experience in this season's UFL. The play has improved so much from one year to the next because the player pool is that much better than it was last year. So I don't think he downplayed it so much as he got popped in the mouth in a way he wasn't expecting. And it kind of was like like this league is
real.
It's not like if I watched tape on this league last year to get ready for this year, and I thought, it's gonna be like last year. No, the league got better. The talent got better. Players are starting to realize this is a valid and viable pathway into the NFL. So I think it was more getting popped in the mouth with a haymaker versus downplaying the league.
So what did he say in his post-game interview? I didn't catch that. Did anybody see that?
I didn't get a chance to see that.
Okay.
I
I
did
saw a
not,
comment saying that he threw the team under the bus. So
yeah, this one right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, from BJP_16.
I would love to know what he said. If anybody know, can they comment that? But you could jump into the rankings.
Do you have the screen for it?
I got him right. Hold on.
Okay. You got the controls for it?
Now, I will say, as we were putting the rankings together, this is something that we all don't agree on the rankings this week.
That's cool. But you can talk about it. That's the whole point.
That's what I'm saying. Like, as we were putting this together, there was not agreement amongst this. Maybe towards the top, there's some agreement, but the bottom half, there was an agreement.
No.
So
we've had dissension across the board on this one.
Dang, there we go.
Maybe we all agree that DC absolutely deserves to be in the number one spot.
Okay, let's go one by one because I believe DC should be one.
Yes,
I agree.
DC certainly should be one.
They beat the best team going into this season, and we also got to remember too, like, don't act like everybody didn't have them beating DC. So in the end, the spread had them beating DC.
I had
we-
DC winning.
We had DC winning. I'm talking about the media and everybody else had DC
Yeah.
getting whooped. So
No,
that's why I think
Mhm.
DC should be first.
The only reason I thought DC was gonna lose was just had their coaching staff been gutted, I think it would have been a different. But at least they got.
You
They're
were trying
gonna
to change your pick too.
no, yeah. Well, because okay, when you see Reggie Barlow's leaving, okay, that's a big deal. But then he's like, yeah, I'm also gonna take the entire core coaching staff with me. And I'm like, you really gutting the team the week of the game, but then they're like, no, we're gonna finish out the season first. Okay, that changes things. But had he gut the team of the coaches and left them hanging out to dry, I don't know if they would have won the game.
Player led teams. You remember that, y'all?
Yes, but you still, I mean, if you don't have an offensive or defensive coordinator,
I mean, that's true.
that's. I mean,
but the core is there, man. Tiamu there.
yeah.
I expected more from Abram, but it's cool. Like they got what the Tiamu showed why Tiamu is who he is.
And on defense, Bryce Thompson, who played with
They
the Browns
cooked on
last
defense.
year,
Oh my God,
he was number one on the defenders, also number one with us last year. He played as aggressively as he did last year.
Oh my God, Mike G.
G swinging for the fences, man.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Okay.
geez. All right. So we all agree DC number one.
Yes.
Okay, DC's number one. We agree with that.
Okay.
I do
number
think.
two?
I
Hell
agree.
no.
I agree.
Hell
Hey,
no.
listen. Y'all might not like Arlington, but I agree, bro. Like
I do too.
y'all might not like them, but they are set up right now to be the team to beat. I want to see what they look like next week. Mind y'all, this is week by week. So
They're playing Houston next week. They're going to look great.
Okay, so then they might stay at the top.
So,
But
no,
I'm
but what
saying,
I'm
like,
saying-
but look, honestly speaking, I can literally say from watching the game minus DC, right? Because he already up number one, from 2 to 8, I can honestly say that Arlington looked great on all three phases of the game. Honestly, offense, defense, special teams. That's what I could say. All I could say.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think it's
Did
probably
y'all
a
watch
toss.
the Michigan game?
Yes.
I did. And I thought Michigan looked incredible. I thought Memphis looked a lot better than what they did last year, and that's why I'm thinking it's a toss-up between Michigan and Arlington for the number 2 spot. Because, yeah, Arlington looked great. They would look great against any weak team. So I don't think that they should get
Are
the
we
number
weak
2
though?
spot just because they played a weaker opponent in the San Antonio Brahmas. And I'm sorry to say that. We played like garbage, which made them look even better. Right?
Hey, we were
So-
favorite though.
You don't get extra points just because you look better than a bad team. So
By UFL standards, our game was a blowout, and Arlington punched us in the mouth.
I don't
the
even
only-
count us having 9. We had 3 points.
The only thing I'm happy about seeing number 2 is that they got that ugly logo on there and not their stupid little bang.
That shit was fire. I'm so glad they brought that back. That R shit is ugly. Whatever
That's
that
why
is,
I like seeing it there.
BRA, whatever that is. I'm glad they brought back the bandit.
Yeah, but Michigan number 3.
I had Michigan number 2 on mine, but I had Arlington at 5. I don't think they're that good of a team. I just think they had a really good game. But you know what? I will defer to the majority.
Bro,
That's why.
listen, last year they didn't have no run game. They have a run game. They had a bad offensive line. They revamped their offensive line. The defense was okay last year, and they still looking okay. They actually look better than okay from playing us. I definitely want to see them play like a Battlehawks or Stallions or DC, but their defense was solid. I ain't gonna lie. They made tackles, bro. They made tackles. They blanketed our receivers. Like they played really good. I can't lie. I want to watch back. That really made me feel like okay, they something serious. So I'm just being honest, bro. Just from a football perspective.
So moving on, St. Louis Battle Chickens at number 4. I don't know that they should be at number 4.
They beat a bad team. They deserve to be there. They beat a terrible team.
I would switch
And
out
so you get a free
Birmingham
pass.
and St. Louis because
Yeah.
I think Birmingham put up more of a fight against DC.
But you can't. I mean, St.
And-
Louis hung 35 or 34, whatever it was. So and they won.
31.
You can't put a
31.
team that.
That loss.
Oh, sorry. I was off by 3 points.
That
I mean,
loss
you can't put a team that lost over a team
above
that
a team
won.
that won.
So
But see, the thing is that
5-8 loss.
I would. I mean, they yeah,
I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
They lost, but to me, I'm looking at talent on the field and how they played, and I think
The line looked trash.
Birmingham is
Yeah.
still
Birmingham's
above
line was
St. Louis.
terrible. DC
No, it
was in
was.
that backfield all game long. You
All
damn right
game.
I am, Tim.
You took a
You're
nap back
damn
there.
right I am.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
So let's run
that
at the
was-
bottom.
So the way it was, obviously 1 through 4, they won the game. So you can't really, and I get what Jorge is saying, but I feel like that the Stallions' offensive line was so bad. Like I really have, like even the Stallions fans are worried about them because they're like, oh, this looks bad. So I mean, I'm just, you can't really put.
the
Them
streak is
above-
over already. Week 1.
Hey, they in shambles. They worse than us. They worse than us as fans. So at 6, right?
I mean,
How
I
y'all feel
don't
about
think
that?
we weren't better than Memphis, or I'm sorry, we're definitely better than Houston. I think we're better than Memphis. So I think 6 is a fair spot for us. Right
So
now.
Brian, where are you? Where are you? Why are you saying that? Are you saying that just in general, or are you saying that based off this past game?
based off the past game, based off kind of what I
What
saw,
makes you
and not exactly like what I saw, but what I know the team.
No,
can
you
do.
can't do that. You can't do
I
that,
can't.
Brian.
My rankings, I can do whatever I want. All right.
Okay, true. But that's not power rankings. Power rankings is how you played that week.
No, power
Then
rankings is how
week
good of a
number
team
7.
are you? How good
Yes,
of a team
that
are
week.
you?
That week, because it
So-
changes every week.
It does change.
Because we
every
were not
week.
very good last week, so we shouldn't be at the number 6 over Memphis, who at least hung up 12 points. Right? I mean, if that's what we're talking about, Memphis should be in number 6 and we should be in number 7.
That's why I initially had us at 7. So
And
I think if we,
and
if we
Jorge,
play, I think if we play Memphis, we win. So
I agree. Well, I don't. Well,
then you put us
they
above
look
in the
better than
power
us.
rankings.
They look better than us. If it was my opinion, I would have put San Antonio 7th, Memphis 6th. Their defense looked way better than ours.
I had San Antonio last. I had Houston at 7, San Antonio at 8.
Jorge,
I don't agree with that.
the El Mariachi Brahma had the Brahmas at 8, guys.
Yeah, I honestly, having watched the Houston game,
I'm not mad at it either, though.
having watched the Memphis game, and this is purely based off of what I saw in week 1. This is not about training camp, not about last year, not about who got signed, who got released, none of that. Just about on-field production
Could be.
and how it was played in week 1. I honestly think that we looked at the worst team in the league. I think Houston still showed some fight there towards the end of the game against a Battlehawks team that is mediocre at best. They're mid. They don't like they did. Yes, they put up a bunch of points against a bad Houston team. I get that, but they didn't look like, oh wow, like these guys just trampled all over the Roughnecks. No, I think a lot of that was more just the Roughnecks aren't a good team and they don't have a good coaching staff. But the game plan that they put together and the fact that I heard so many people say, please, can we just put more points up than Houston? Like, can we just please put more points up than, like, when you're comparing it to that, and then what sealed the deal for me?
That's true.
What sealed the deal for me is that not only was our offensive performance bad, our defensive performance bad, the special teams performance was also bad. I gotta say, like there wasn't any solid returns. And then the kicking game, I'm
Mr.
happy.
Bad
I'm
Ball.
happy that Destroying got his first field goal. Congratulations. The second one was a
One of the worst kicks I've
shank.
ever seen.
Like it was one of, he had the wind to his back. He had a little bit of the jitters. I don't know, but hey, it's time. It's time to put up some numbers, my
I will
man.
say
Like
the win was coming from there. So it was.
Dang, Jay. You can move the rankings, Jay.
I didn't put him up.
Oh,
That would
Brian.
be BD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I agree, Jorge. Only reason why I didn't put us last is because yes, Houston is just a terrible team, bro. Like if you watch the game, they look so hopeless. It just looks so bad.
Yes. Okay. Now let's talk about the weekly picks, right? We're done bashing the team. Let's focus on next week. Let's focus
Constructive
on
criticism,
what we
not
need to
bad.
do and start getting things going. So, without further ado, let me find it. Here we go. The Horns Forward Podcast weekly picks. Okay, no animation because Jackie left me off on the last one. Here we are for this week. Okay, Birmingham versus Michigan. We got a little bit of a split house here, right? DJ and Jorge are taking the Stallions. Wait, yeah, this is this next week, right? Yeah. And the rest of us are all picking Michigan. Guys, why are you picking the Stallions over Michigan, considering the Stallions lost?
The Michigan offense isn't good. Michigan offense isn't good. They play a 2-quarterback system. Same thing with Memphis too, but Michigan quarterbacks is not good. I will pick Alex Magoo over Michigan's quarterback. They not good.
Okay.
And I think Birmingham's defense is better.
what you want me to talk about? Why I picked Birmingham?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're going to turn it around next week. I think they got punched in the mouth by DC. They still put up a hell of a fight. I think they're going to come back and give Michigan a run for their money. So I got Birmingham.
Well, y'all got Michigan.
Okay. I picked Michigan because I think they look good overall. I think that their defense is going to be able to handle Magoo no problem. Magoo has had flashes of greatness, but I mean, I saw him in Packers, preseason training camp and all that. I know what his struggles are. I think Michigan is going to know what his struggles are also, especially after this last week's game. And I think they're going to be reading him all game long. The defense is going to crush him, and it's going to be Michigan's game. BD, this is where you start talking.
I think Michigan looked good. I think Birmingham had some troubles. Obviously, they had some troubles on the offensive line, and Michigan's got a pretty good defense. And screw Birmingham. So,
And that's the other point.
That too.
Okay. Okay. Moving on to DC. I think we're all pretty much in agreement. DC looked great. I think they're not going to have any kind of problems with Memphis. So obviously, kind of the same thing with Houston and Arlington. Everybody pretty much picked Arlington across the board. Arlington looked great. Houston has some struggles. They've got some things that they really need to kind of figure out, right? I'm very curious why we're a split house, San Antonio versus St. Louis. You guys both picked St. Louis.
I'll start it off. I'm speaking from a non-biased point of view, and until we look like something, I don't see it. And this is a test,
Okay.
and we will see. But right now, where I am, my mindset is they have to tell me, and prove me that I need to pick y'all next time. That's how I feel. I'm biased.
Yeah, same. I'm going based off of what I saw week one, and off of week one's performance. St. Louis is going to take this one. Hopefully not, because I mean it's 2 games that the Brahmas got to play over there. So they better be ready. Better be ready for 2 away games over there. And we know how unfun it is to play at that place.
Right.
Granted, one of the games is on a Friday, so there may be less attendance in that game, so the crowd may be less of a factor. But you better believe that the St. Louis fans are going to come out with a vengeance and want to get some sort of revenge for knocking them out of the playoffs and taking their spot in the championship in their own dome last year. So I can see the St. Louis crowd being a big factor in this one as well, especially if like I said, if they played the way that they played, the Brahmas played the way that they played against Arlington, with the crowd that was there. Now throw in a raucous crowd as another factor. I give the edge to St. Louis.
This is
So,
what I call
you know-
putting fire up their ass. This is what I'm putting. I'm putting fire up my team ass.
You know what? I'm going to say, obviously, I'm picking the Brahmas, as it says here. The team that we saw last week is not the team that we have. And I fully expect the team to come together, watch tape, get their stuff together. And, I agree with Jorge said earlier, St. Louis is a mediocre team. They had a great showing against a really bad team. Brahmas had a terrible showing against and also what I think is a mediocre team. So I expect them to come back, and we're going to get some battle chickens, and we're going to eat them up.
There you go. And I'm picking San Antonio, obviously, because I'm the hometown homer. I don't care, right? I will never pick the Battlehawks over anybody. I don't care if they go 9-1. I'll still never pick them because it's St.
I wish it was
Louis,
a prize,
right? Deal with the rivalry.
so you can lose.
Okay, here we stand right now. UFL standings right now, BD and Two Brahmasita are leading the pack at 3-1. The rest of us are all 2-2 going into week 2. So hopefully we can keep these up and keep picking the winners.
Let me add this too.
We'll see what happens. But
Let me add this part too. Little piece, right? Yes, St. Louis played a terrible team in Houston. St. Louis also has a great running game. They also have a great running quarterback, and he can also sling it. They have a great O line. They have a nice wide receivers, and they also have a good defense. Same, pretty much identical to Arlington. So we'll see. This is a test, though. It's a test.
It is.
if it's identical to Arlington's game plan, we should be prepared for it. We should know
There you
what to
go.
do.
And we got tape
Right.
on the Battlehawks.
Yep.
So,
Ooh, here's a good one for the poll. Who does Jay hate more, Birmingham or St. Louis?
equal
You guys decide.
St.
for
Louis.
me.
Absolutely. There is a front runner. I'll let you guys figure out
St.
who it
Louis.
is.
He don't like
I
St.
think
Louis.
it's
Okay.
got to be St. Louis just because of
St.
the
Louis.
length of hatred.
Mike G is asking which St. Louis game is our
Neither.
home game.
Neither. They're both road games.
Really?
Neither, but the
I-
second one is
I
technically
don't-
our home game. I
Yeah,
believe.
but let's be real. I mean,
I think
Get-
Fox
call
Sports got
it a home game. Put on the gray unis, and none of them are going to be the home game.
I mean,
Yeah. And then one last comment before we check out.
hold on. You
Right.
can look at the official score.
Don't let anybody.
At St. Louis, it's not listed as a home game. So it's not technically a home game.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
None of
is a
them
road game.
Right. We have this year and 4 home games. It's not like, home game on the road or anything like that. It officially is 6 road games, 4 home games. Right.
Week 9, we are technically labeled as the home team. That's week 9. So, but
Are we?
we label on Fox Sports. We labeled as the home team. I don't know if y'all can see that, but anyway.
No.
Fox Sports lies.
But yeah,
Oh, you know what? It's even listed that way on the UFL.
they got us at the
website.
bottom
It's
team. The home
St.
team.
Louis. Yeah, St. Louis at San Antonio, but we're playing in St. Louis. So I guess maybe that is the home game. It really isn't going to
Don't
matter, right?
Yeah.
We got to get it together before we go into St. Louis this week. Otherwise, it's just going to be another road game. It's not going to matter at all. We're going to get destroyed. So, but I have faith, beyond faith. I have hope in this team. I have hope in our coaching staff. I have hope in Wade Phillips, and I have hope in Kellen Mond. I know we're going to turn it around. We're going to go in St. Louis. It's going to be a little bit of a dogfight. I'm not going to lie, but I believe that San Antonio will come out victorious, and I'll be there to celebrate. That's all I'm saying.
I
Well, I
hope
guess
you're
we'll
right.
find out which team I like the least. So,
So
hopefully,
I know we're getting
guys,
close to it, but before we get out of here, we do need to mention you come over to the QR code over there next to Jay's head, get some merch for us. And today is the last day if you want to get the International Women's Month merch. Today is the last day for it. It will leave the shop tomorrow, or by the end of the night, it's gone from their shop. So go get you some of that fantastic merch that Jackie created, and yeah, get some other stuff too. So
you guys got anything else to throw in?
Safe travels to anyone going up to St. Louis.
Sorry. I'm just clarifying a comment to the crowd. All right, guys, make sure if you're not able to make it to the game, that you get out to one of the local establishments for the watch party. Bombshells is definitely one of them. It's a great venue. I know there's going to be a lot of people there, so make your way over there. That's 151 and
410 area.
there you go.
1604.
Yeah, 151. Is it 1604 or 410?
It's closer to 410. It's right by Petranco 151, or what is it, Hunt Lane or whatever, kind of right over there. So
Well,
it's closer to
it'll be
410.
posted. Yeah, wherever the actual
151 and
location
410.
is.
Yeah, it's
It'll be
it,
posted
bombshells
on
are
the
the
Horns
151.
1 to
Go
14.
go to Google, type
Type
in
in
bombshells,
151
and then
bombshells.
find the one that says 151 and hit go. That's how you find it. There's a bunch of the other the Brahmas Bar Club locations. I think Buffalo Wild Wings is one of them. Fiasco's is one of them. There was another one too. There's one that was in Fair Oaks Bar, I think, that I saw them post.
We're gonna be at bombshells.
Those are the only three.
Yeah,
that,
I'll
We
be
don't
at
know what they're
I'll be at
doing. We gonna be at
Bombshells,
Bombshells.
DJB Bombshells. We live kind of close to there. Like I said, the Fiascos is on the northeast side. There's Buffalo Wild Wings all across the city. If you're up in the Bernie area, there's that one by Fair Oaks. So there's a lot of great places to go watch. Or like I've always said, if you don't want to go to any of those, go to your own local bar, ask them to put on the game, and broadcast it to the rest of the bar there. So
Yeah, definitely make sure that you're watching it somewhere, even at home, whatever, because ratings do matter. It's just as important as if you're a season ticket holder, right?
I think
Because the more eyes,
ratings are more important than attendance. So
oh yeah, the more eyes we have on it, the more attention it's drawing from national media, from advertising, all that stuff, right? So support the league, watch the games. Try and watch all of them if you can. I know that's kind of tough to dedicate your whole weekend to football, and this is what we live for, so this is kind of what we do. But make sure you're watching at least our game. Get some eyes on it, all right? With that being said, let's go Brahmas. We're going to cook us some battle chickens this weekend, and we'll see you guys soon. All right?
you guys.
Horns forward, guys.